Corrupt. He's a corrupt politician. You see it. Now they say the laptop shift. Watermelon head, watermelon head, watermelon head, shift. That laptop was produced by Russia. Here we go again.
As Donald Trump makes his return to the White House, you might think he has the power to shape every corner of government, including the Federal Reserve. But what if I told you there's one position he simply can't control? A powerful president facing off against an independent figure who holds the keys to the US economy. Who is this person? And how does their role impact your financial future? Stay with me. Because what unfolds next isn't just another political story. It's about how this battle for control could shape the economy and your wallet for years to come. You might be wondering who this untouchable figure is. That would be Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve. Recently, he made headlines by cutting interest rates for the first time in 4 years, a significant move that sends shockwaves through the economy. And here's the kicker. No matter how much pressure Trump puts on him, Powell is protected from being removed from his position. This dynamic is fascinating, especially with Trump set to return to power and the potential economic shifts looming on the horizon. As we dive deeper into the intricacies of this relationship, it's essential to understand how Powell's decisions ripple into your life, affecting everything from your mortgage rates to investment returns. Even with the political theater in Washington, Powell stands firm in making choices grounded in economic data, not the whims of a president. This is crucial as we step into a new era of uncertainty and potential transformation in the financial landscape. As the news broke of Powell's interest rate cut, US markets soared to record highs. Investors are betting on Powell's independence and the strong foundation he's built for the Federal Reserve amid a transitioning political climate. But how does this actually work? What safeguards are in place to ensure that the Fed operates free from political influence? And why should you care about these machinations, as their impact could shape your financial future? Let me share an insight into the unique balance of power between the executive branch and the Federal Reserve. By the end of this exploration, you'll have a clearer understanding of how these forces interact and what it could mean for your economic well-being in the years ahead. Powell and the position he holds play a massive role in decisions that directly affect your wallet. Mortgage rates, investment returns, and even the overall cost of living, these are shaped by the Fed's decisions, not just the policies of a sitting president. So, even with Trump's comeback victory, the Federal Reserve's independence remains unshaken. And understanding this dynamic can give you valuable insight into how the next few years might impact your financial future. Just last week, Powell led the Fed in a significant move, cutting interest rates by 0.25 percentage points. This marked their second consecutive rate cut, and that decision had nothing to do with who's heading into the White House. The Fed operates independently, guided by economic data, things like inflation and employment, not political pressure. When news of Powell's decisions hit the market, US stocks responded with record highs. This was a strong sign of how much confidence markets have in the Fed's ability to stay above politics, even during times of major political transition. So let's pull back the curtain for a moment. It's one thing to look at this dynamic between Trump and Powell on the surface, but to really understand it, you need to know the unique relationship between the president and the Federal Reserve chair. On one hand, the president appoints the Fed chair. On the other, once that appointment is made, they can't simply decide to fire them. The Federal Reserve Act is designed this way for one crucial reason: to keep politics out of monetary policy. Powell's current term runs until 2026, and legally the only way he could be removed is for cause, which means something like misconduct, disagreeing with the president's economic vision. That doesn't count. This dynamic isn't just theoretical, it's been tested before. During Trump's first term, he publicly criticized Powell on multiple occasions, calling him clueless and even comparing him to an enemy of the American economy. Now imagine that level of scrutiny. daily tweets and constant media noise. But Powell stood his ground. He demonstrated that the Federal Reserve wasn't there to play political games. It was there to do its job even when the pressures of the presidency came knocking. This modern-day clash isn't new though. If you look at history, other Fed chairs have faced similar situations. Paul Volcker, for instance, didn't back down from Reagan during the 1980s, and Alan Greenspan navigated policy across multiple administrations without compromising the Fed's independence. Each time, the institution held firm, and each time it emerged stronger. These moments remind us of why the Federal Reserve was designed the way it is, to serve as a neutral, data-driven force in the economy, not a tool for political convenience. Now let's bring this back to an even more personal level. Why do we care about the Federal Reserve? And what does all this mean for your money? It's simple. When the Fed makes decisions, your mortgage rate might go up or down, not because of a president's policy, but because of what the Fed decides the economy needs. Your retirement fund and stock portfolio rely on the stability the Fed provides to markets, ensuring that businesses have the confidence to invest and grow. If you're planning to start a business or buy a house, you want to know that economic rules aren't written or rewritten on a whim. That consistency helps everyone plan for the future and feel financially secure. But this relationship doesn't just affect us here at home, it impacts the entire world. Let me put it this way. The US dollar is the backbone of the global economy. Central banks around the world hold dollars in reserve, and foreign investors closely watch the Federal Reserve's every move. Why? Because they trust in its independence. If the Fed ever became a political puppet, that trust and the global economy could be shaken. Powell remaining independent is as much about protecting American markets as it is about maintaining our reputation on the world stage. So in 2025, with Trump in the White House, Powell remains at the helm of the Federal Reserve, and that means we're heading into what could be one of the most fascinating dynamics in modern US history. On one side, you've got a president known for wanting things done his way, and on the other, an institution that's literally designed to say no when necessary. It's gonna be like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. There's also going to be some tension here. Trump's campaign promises included aggressive economic growth and lower interest rates. But the Fed can't simply cut rates to please the president. Powell's job is more like being a master chef. He needs to balance all the ingredients: price stability, employment, financial stability, and long-term growth. It's not just about serving up what's immediately appetizing, but what's healthiest for the economy overall. Powell's recent moves are a perfect example of this. Those interest rate cuts weren't made as a nod to political agendas, but as a response to cooling inflation and steady job markets. Even with Trump heading back to the Oval Office, Powell will be sticking to his principles, not politics. In fact, he recently said, "Our decisions are based on careful analysis and our dual mandate." That mandate, price stability and maximum employment, is what drives his decision-making process, not whether a new president agrees with the choices being made. Here's what all this boils down to. Presidents may dominate the headlines, but the Federal Reserve is designed to play the long game. It's like a lighthouse during a storm, consistently guiding the economy through political turbulence. It's why smart investors don't react to political noise. They focus on the Fed. The real action isn't in what presidents say. They can shout all they want from the sidelines. What matters is the quiet, deliberate decisions happening at the Fed's table. As we move further into this new era, we're going to see this push and pull dynamic between Trump and Powell unfold in real time. It's not just about one man's principles against another's, it's about whether America's institutions can remain strong under pressure. Powell has already proven that he can stand his ground, but what happens next will define this dual role of independent monetary policy in an increasingly polarized political climate. And here's why that should matter to you. Every decision Powell makes, based on data and not the demands of any administration, is a win for ordinary people like you and me. It's what keeps our financial system predictable and offers the stability we need to plan for our futures. Other countries, they're watching this just as closely. Every time Powell prioritizes sound economics over politics, it sends a message to the world that America's institutions are as strong as ever. In the end, this story isn't just about Trump versus Powell. It's about preserving a system that makes sure your savings, your investments, and your future aren't at the mercy of shifting political desires. That's why the Fed chair's independence isn't a flaw in the system. It's the feature that protects us all. And as we watch these moments play out, remember this. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room isn't the one shouting the loudest. It's the one quietly making the tough decisions that keep the entire system running. Jerome Powell may not always be in the spotlight, but make no mistake, he's standing exactly where he needs to be to guard the stability of our economy.